and I'm super excited to lay the rest of the seeds that I need to lay to fill up all of the beds. I have some seeds that I've started, some peppers, and we're gonna put those in the ground as well. So just kind of come along with me. I'll give you an update on the garden, like what's going on so far. There's a lot of positivity happening, a lot of great sprouts. The whole garden looks super healthy, so I'll just take you on like a tour and everything, and hopefully come May we'll have a very different situation. Hopefully everything will be just like abundant and overgrowing, and you know, just like this really green environment. Literally one of my favorite things to do is to drink coffee in the garden and just kind of sit there for a second before getting started, listen to the birds, and just really take in all the fresh air and just, I don't know, just be calm. It's like one of my favorite things to do. This year I was able to plant 21 tomato plants in all, which I'm hoping is going to, of course, give us an abundance of tomatoes through the season, like the summer season, to eat fresh, but I really want to can them, and I also want to freeze tomatoes to use over the winter time. That way we always have our tomatoes to use year round. So I'll give you a tour on all of our tomatoes and the varieties. These plants are super special to me. I've been growing them for about 4 years in a row or so, and the cool part about these tomato plants is that every single year I have never sown the seeds for these plants. They are these like grape tomatoes that always reseed themselves in the ground. I find the little sprout, and then I of course like put it in a bigger pot and nurture it to be a plant, and I just think it's really cool, you know, to have some type of a plant that's just come back time and time again every year. So these are grape tomatoes, and I consider them like my own heirloom tomato. These are the San Marzanos. They are very nice canning tomatoes. Lots of chefs like to use these tomatoes in their tomato sauce. So I love growing these. I've grown them one time before and it worked perfectly. They were great. They were a great variety. This year I will be sure to save seeds so I don't have to keep buying them or searching for them if like a certain website that I buy them from like no longer has them. So I'll definitely be saving seeds, and what I want to do is do like a giveaway eventually for seeds. So probably come like June or July, once I've been able to like save a bunch of seeds, I'll do a giveaway for you guys. So many strawberries. Got my cutie little strawberry just picked, and what I really want to do is make a like strawberry shortcake video with my strawberries, so definitely stay tuned for that. And this one is perfect. I don't even need to wash it. There's nothing like picking a fruit or vegetable straight from your garden and eating it right away. These are the black nebula carrots. As you can see, these seeds have been working really well. It's so cool how the bottom of them are already purple for these carrots. I also have this colorful mix of carrots as well. This seed pack from Amazon for sunflower seeds comes with 1,000 of them, and it really truly does come with 1,000. I have purchased these before. The germination rate is really good, and the variety is amazing. Like when all the sunflowers are blooming, you have your burgundy ones, your big standard sunflowers, your teddy bear sunflowers. There's just like everything in this variety pack, and I'm planting rows of sunflowers because I want just like that really stunning flower look. And I'll make a video on how to make like a row, like a sunflower wall basically, but I will link this below. I definitely recommend these seeds from Amazon. It's the crazy mix and it's crazy good. These are all the sunflowers. I planted about 50 down this row, and my goal is to plant about 50 or so every month. That way we have a continual bloom of sunflowers. The great thing about sunflowers is you can use them as chicken food once they're, you know, old and dried out. So it's going to be a win-win. Lots of beautiful flowers and food for my chickens, well, treats for them. This is one of the first rows of sunflowers that I planted. It's already forming like a sunflower head. It's about as tall as me too. So this is gonna be a variety that has a lot of different heads of sunflowers on it, which I like because they last a lot longer. It's not just like one big sunflower head that just blooms and kind of that's it. When you have the variety that has heads poking out from each one of these little stems or one of these little areas, anyways, it lasts a lot longer. These are my Unzen flat onions, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But as you can see, the germination is really great. All of the seeds have sprouted up really, really well. I'm so excited to be growing these from seed. I got these from Baker Creek, these ones. These are the Buena Mulata peppers, which are so beautiful so far. If you can see that purple stem, which is fascinating, I can only imagine what the pepper is going to look like. The Trinidad scorpion pepper, all of those have started to sprout. I just think it's really interesting how different these leaves look in comparison to like your standard pepper plant. The leaves, you know, normally would kind of look like that. And it's probably because it's just a really hot pepper. And then we have our Sugar Rush peppers. Eventually I will move these into different pots and everything, but so far everything is doing really well. If you follow me and if you've watched my like seed haul video, the Baker Creek seed haul video, which I will link in this, you know how excited I am about these spoon tomatoes, which have all started to, you know, just start to flower, and the germination rate was really good. The seed itself was so tiny, and the sprout itself was much tinier than a normal tomato plant. And the leaves are different too. I've never seen a tomato plant quite like this, so it's just so cool to try something new and to be excited about a new plant, which is how I feel about these spoon tomatoes. Yeah, but definitely I would check out that video if you want to see my whole like seed haul. These are those tiny little peppers I was talking about in my seed haul video. Long purple eggplants, Black Beauty eggplant. What I have right here are the watermelons that I revived. I will include a link in this video. They were not doing too hot, but now they are happy. And I also have these tomato plants. They're kind of like a beefsteak type variety, like cutting tomatoes, all on the back. I have mushroom head, and there's a different variety, I forgot what it was. Then I have my burgundy beans, and I'm gonna have some Blue Lake beans as well in here. Beautiful, beautiful blossoms, my goodness. And the bean itself is literally gonna be purple. Burgundy okra. Can you guys tell there's like a purple trend going on right now? These are my little pepper sprouts. I don't know if you can see them in the video. These are from store-bought bell peppers. I've found that the germination is much better when I just take seeds from fresh peppers basically, and anytime I want a seed from a pepper, I just go and, you know, buy basically the type of pepper that I want, and I just dry it out for a little bit and I plant them right in the garden, and the germination rate is really, really good. The only reason why I bought those fancy pepper seeds is because you can't get like Trinidad peppers at the grocery store. But for like my bell peppers, for example, I don't buy seed packs for those. I just take the seeds from the actual bell pepper, and that saves me some money, and we also get to eat a bell pepper as well. So that's what I do. These are sugar baby watermelons, and what I'm gonna do is have them trellising up and out. I have a trellis that sits on an angle, so they're gonna just kind of like hang over, and then the watermelons are going to grow through. I've done this before and it works very, very well. I prefer to have my watermelons off the ground. They don't usually need to be tied up for extra support. Sometimes they do, but that would definitely be my preferred method of growing watermelons, is to trellis them like at an angle. Doing the same method with my spaghetti squash that have sprouted recently. This is the butternut squash, and I will also be trellising these up at an angle to save space in the garden. So that's why I planted them like on the edge, because now I get to maximize this whole bed. There's tomato plants at the back. They're gonna go upwards. These are gonna go out, and the onions are just in the bed. I feel like I've had this kale bush for so long, but it's almost turned into like a pet. This thing, you can just chop at it nonstop and it just keeps growing. It's super healthy, and I only need this kale bush. I don't need any more, but I'm definitely really proud of it, and it's lasted through summers. It's over a year old now, so it's a good plant. Cucumbers. They should be ready to trellis pretty soon. They're, just got a little bit more to grow. We've got some blooms and everything. I'd rather it just focus on growing tall, but hey, whatever. We're finally getting some female squash on our squash plant. I do have a whole video on like tips and tricks for growing squash in containers. If you want to check that out, I'll link it. So the other day I made this like squash casserole from my golden squash, and it was so good. So I will definitely be posting a video on how to make that squash casserole. It's a really good way to, eat up all of your extra squash. And I'm telling you, like, this recipe was where it's at. So once I get enough squash to harvest and make that video, I will definitely be posting that. These are our peas. Fortunately, but unfortunately, my son loves eating them so fast that we never get to bring any inside. But hey, that's okay. This is a rogue pumpkin plant that reseeded itself, which I always love when that happens. I'm pretty sure it's a Jack B. Little, and I'm just gonna let it do its thing. It's just popping out from under the garden bed, and just gonna see where it goes. Radishes, which I found a new love for radishes after the last time we harvested them. And then there's beets right here. It's just hard to see them in the lighting, but they're definitely in there. These are various different peppers that we're going to be planting. They're all bell peppers. They're the ones that I told you about, where I just basically take seeds from a pepper that we ate at the store. They're red, yellow, and green. I'm not really kind of like that concerned with marking them. I just know that these are where the bell peppers are going. I'm planting them about a foot apart, each plant. They need full sun. This is the sunniest part of my garden. So this part definitely gets at least like 8+ hours a day of sun. But the thing about like where, it depends on like where you live, because Florida gets really hot, and when you're going into like July and everything, sometimes they'll need some afternoon kind of like shade. Depending on the time of the year, they will need some relief from the sun. So it's not the worst thing if your peppers are getting like less sun than 8 hours a day. What I do is I just put it in the sunniest part of my garden. I just make sure that they're watered once a day, and I just kind of like hope for the best. And there's going to be certain months where they're going to flourish more than others. With plants like peppers and eggplants, those plants can last a really long time. The plant itself will start to kind of turn into like a miniature tree. Where you plant those, it would be more of like a long-term planting. Just keep that in mind when you're planting these. It's not like a lettuce where you're going to kind of have like a shorter harvest, or like radishes or something like that. These are going to be there for a few months. So just keep that in mind when you're picking your location for your peppers as well, and with your eggplants too. These are Blue Lake green beans. and they're supposed to be stringless. A little backstory, one time I sowed some Kentucky Wonder, I think that's what they're called, green beans. I was so excited, they were trellising, it looked so beautiful, and I picked a bunch of them. They had like these really, like after like cooking them up and everything, I discovered that they had the strings in the back, which really doesn't taste good on the palate. So unless you pick those Kentucky Wonders really, really early, then they're gonna have those strings on the back. So that's why I'm trying these Blue Lake varieties, which it says that it's stringless. If you've grown green beans before, you'll see that, or if you haven't and you're growing them now, you'll see that once the bean starts to kind of like come out of the flower, it goes from like 0 to 60 real quick. So you have to stay on top of picking them. So I would definitely recommend a stringless variety. I have like one good open space in my other bed. It already has beets and radishes in it. So I'm thinking more beets, you know, because I only have a few kind of planted. So, and it's in a shadier spot. So I'm gonna rifle through all my seeds, find my beet seeds. We are going to sow those seeds. Well, that's about it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I feel like sometimes people on YouTube are like the only people who care about my garden, so it's fun to kind of talk about it with a bunch of other homesteaders and garden geeks just like me. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me today and taking the tour and just listening to me yap about my garden. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like and also hit that subscribe button down below. That way you don't miss any updates on my future garden, recipes, canning, farm to table. Like, do you want to miss that? I don't want to miss that. So definitely subscribe so that you don't miss the journey and how our little homestead is growing. And thanks for watching.